Hey, business building warrior, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. Thanks for joining me. It's just you and I hanging out today. Typically, we have guests around here. Quite often, most shows are interviews with successful, proven Amazon course students, your fellow listeners to this show who have gone on to succeed. We love to have those conversations with them. But today, it's just you and me hanging out. So if you're new around here, and you want to hear some of those great interviews, just scroll back in time. But what I'm going to hit today is some of the most common questions that we're hearing lately from those who are on the newer end of getting into their Amazon journey. So the topic today is the top questions we hear from the newest members of our community who are considering getting into the business opportunity that they've heard so much about. And I'm going to work through these questions in rapid succession and hopefully give you a lot of information that can help you make a good decision about whether the things that we do around here, the opportunities that we teach, the strategies that we're so excited about, whether it's something that you want to dive into and how to get started if so. So let's get into it. Question number one is, what exactly is the opportunity? And I would state it this way. It's filling the underserved shelf space in Amazon's hundreds of US warehouses. Now, where you live in the world doesn't matter. We have students all over the world who do this. They buy inventory in the United States, have it sent through a prep center to the warehouses, and it's sold and they get paid without ever seeing or touching their inventory. You could certainly do that if you live in the United States as well, and we'll get more into that in a moment. But at any given time, there are millions of popular products being bought on Amazon by customers that simply do not have enough inventory in stock. You've experienced this as a shopper, quite likely, when you've gone to purchase something and you've noticed on Amazon that you can't get it right now, that you've got to wait 2, 3, 5, 7 days. And you find yourself thinking, man, I wish I could get this faster. That happens to millions of shoppers every day on Amazon. That's the opportunity. That's understocked, underserved shelf space, meaning that shopper doesn't have any inventory close enough to them to get it to them quickly. So Amazon's hundreds of warehouses across the United States at any given time are lacking millions of products that they could have that would have sold probably for a far higher price, because the customers like speed and they're willing to pay for it. That's the opportunity. We teach you how to tap into that. And it's a constant moving target of opportunity. And it's just one strategy. I'll get into that more in a few minutes. But the one strategy that we love to start you out with, we start you off for a very intentional reason. But that's basically the opportunity, is filling underserved shelf space. You don't have to touch inventory if you don't want to, but you are meeting high customer demand that's currently unmet. That's the opportunity. So next, what am I actually going to be selling? A lot of people will ask us this question. What is it I'm selling? How do I find this product? Well, it could be any item, everyday items, everything that's on the shelf in a store in Walmart or any grocery store or any retailer, any website online that sells legitimate products. It's all up for play. You're not looking for specific products where you feel good about the product or you like the product. That's irrelevant. You're looking at opportunities to fill unmet need. That's it. So you're looking for those products on Amazon where there's, say, 3,000 sales per month happening. And right now, there's only 800 units in stock in Amazon's entire warehouse network. There's just not enough there. So if you send in a few units, you don't have to send in hundreds or even dozens, even 10. You could send in 3, 4, 5 units at a time, but you can be relatively confident that that product's going to sell very quickly because the demand is higher than the supply in Amazon's large warehouse network. It really is that simple. So what you're selling isn't as important as making sure you're selling items that are in demand. And we teach you how to find the in-demand items and then take very low risk bets, put your money on the table where the demand is the highest and the supply is the lowest. Very safe bets because you're helping meet, again, unmet customer demand. So the next question, why do we teach this model as compared to other business models that you may have heard about on Amazon? We've identified easily dozens of strategies for making money on Amazon. Amazon has created as a company more millionaires than any other company in world history. And I'm not just talking about investors. They've done really well as well, especially if they bought early. I'm talking about people using the platform to make money in many creative ways, so many different strategies. And good news is we teach a whole bunch of those strategies in our learning library. It's called the Proven Amazon Course Library. You can find details at provenamazoncourse.com. We teach all kinds of strategies, but why do we start with this particular strategy of filling the underfilled shelf space? We call it the replens or the replenish model of selling on Amazon. That model was created in our community. We've been teaching and perfecting it for a long time. We've developed software tools and strategies to help you have the greatest odds of success with this incredible, rapidly expanding model. But why do we start there? Well, because we've identified it as the lowest risk, lowest cost, lowest barrier to entry, highest odds of success business model that we're aware of, not just on Amazon, but in all of e-commerce. And once you get some momentum with this model, it opens up so many other doors of opportunity for you that you can pursue and go down the roads that you can travel and new streams of income you can explore. But this is the foundation that opens up all of those possibilities. So next, what does the future look like of this business model? I'm reading off my list. That's why I keep looking down. If you're watching the video, I've got a list here of the most popular questions we compiled. What does the future look like? How stable is this? Is reselling going to vanish tomorrow? Can I build a future on this business model? Well, I'll tell you that for the past 23 years or so, I've been hearing that reselling is dead. Back before Amazon was even in existence, back before they were even just selling books, there was eBay. And on eBay, I distinctly remember over 2 decades ago, right as I was starting to go full-time into e-commerce, I was hearing and reading a lot of people saying, yeah, anyone can do this. It's too easy. Reselling is dead. Selling online is going to die. It's going to go away. Well, the evidence is overwhelming that that's just not the case. The future is so bright, in fact, and let me just illustrate it this way. E-commerce, if you weren't aware, is still far less than 20% of all retail. So if I were to ask you what percentage of shopping and spending in the United States, consumer spending, happens online versus offline, most people would guess 50-50 or maybe even 60 or 70% is happening online. They think it's taken over. It hasn't. It's still far less than 20%. Google it, look it up for yourself, ask any AI engine. Far less than 20% of retail spending in the United States is happening online. Now, the future projections are incredible. The next 5, 10, 15, 20 years are insane. Guess who's getting half the action? One website, Amazon. Amazon gets half of all the online action. That's not projected to change anytime soon. You add up their next top 10 competitors, and they don't add up to what Amazon is doing every day. That's how many people are shopping on Amazon. That's how much unmet need is there, how much empty shelf space is appearing daily because the shelves are being cleared. There's so much opportunity there for you to simply buy something for $20 at Walmart that's selling for $20 on Amazon, but there's not enough sellers. So you price it at $32 and it sells. The customer could have paid $20 on Amazon, but they didn't. Why? Because that $20 item was 4, 5, 6, 7 days away. Your $32 item was sitting in a warehouse right next to them. And because it's a high demand product, they snag it. And we have story after story like that from sellers in our community who understand that you don't have to win a price war. All you have to do is make the product available to busy people who don't care about price. And there's millions of them shopping every day on Amazon. And that's not going to change anytime soon. Amazon is building new warehouses. They're expanding rapidly. The future is very bright for e-commerce, for Amazon, and for reselling based on every possible available metric. Online shopping goes up month after month after month, quarter after quarter after quarter. More and more people are shopping online. They're buying more and more products. There's more and more brands and products that are simply understocked in Amazon's massive and rapidly growing network of warehouses. So yeah, the future is very bright for this model, as bright, if not brighter, than any other e-commerce model that I'm aware of. And we continue to see the evidence by all the success stories in our community. So yeah, the future is very bright. Well, what are the risks might be your next question. We don't get a lot of people ask us this, but people who are maybe coming in cautiously saying, surely there's got to be a catch. There's got to be a risk here that you're not telling me. How much money could I lose? How serious of a commitment is this? Is this something that's going to cause me any problems or concerns or trouble? I read about someone who was a reseller and they got suspended, right? You'll hear those kinds of things. What are the risks here? Well, I'll tell you, with thousands of students, there are no examples in the entire catalog of our customer database of all the people that we've been teaching for 15 plus years, thousands of students. There are literally no examples of an unexplained, how that happened? Just their business just vanished for no explanation whatsoever. No, if you stay within policy, if you stay within the guidelines that we teach you, which is Amazon's guidelines for selling, you're as stable as it gets. Now, you will see those occasions, and we have this happen from time to time. You'll see it in our Facebook group. Someone will say, oh no, Amazon is reviewing my account. They've temporarily suspended me. They need to see this, and that, and see proof that I'm buying authorized inventory. Well, if you've stayed within the guidelines we've taught you, all your inventory is authorized because you bought it from legitimate retailers, websites, wholesalers, distributors. You bought it from any of the hundreds of thousands of places where you are allowed to buy inventory instead of buying it from illegitimate, potentially scam sites. You didn't go to Temu and try to sell counterfeits on Amazon, right? Assuming you didn't do any of that stuff, you're going to do just great. Now, there are some challenges you're going to face. There's some hurdles you'll have to overcome, but keep in mind, there's many, many sellers in our community that have been doing this at scale for a long time, multiple seven-figure sellers reselling against thousands of different brands and products all day, every day, fighting down those little issues consistently. That's the roadmap to your success. Maybe you'll never get to that scale. Maybe you will. But the point is, the risks are low enough that there's all kinds of people doing really, really well with this. And the worst, absolute worst case scenario, if you follow the program the way we teach it, is you're going to be breaking even, learning some great skills. That's your worst case scenario. We won't let you go out and buy hundreds of units of inventory that just sits stale in your garage. Other business models teach that. We don't. We teach slow, steady, cautious, proceed at your own pace of comfort, but know that your capital is protected. You're not taking any big risks. You're scaling in nice and smooth. So no significant risks other than you got to commit to the process if you want anything significant to happen. You could end up wasting your time if you give it an hour of attention once every couple of weeks. That's a waste of time. That's a risk, I suppose. But other than that, very low risk business model, very high demand and growing. I call it the largest blue ocean of opportunity in all of e-commerce that is rapidly expanding. That's the arena you're stepping into. Hey, pardon the interruption. We'll get back into the episode in just a moment, but I got to tell you about today's sponsor. I'm talking about Cindy Smith with E-Commerce Accounting LLC. She's been in our community a long time. She's already helped thousands of sellers, listeners to this show. I'm talking about Jimmy Smith's mom, Cindy Smith. If you go to silentjim.com/askcindy, you can get all the details on her accounting services, everything from bookkeeping to income tax preparation and tax planning as well. She's really good at what she does. Like I said, she's helped so many students in our community. She created the content inside the Proven Amazon course that helps you do it yourself, for those of you who are adventurous. But if you're struggling with your accounting, with your bookkeeping and record keeping, you can't find a good local accountant, trust who we trust around here, Cindy Smith at silentjim.com/askcindy, CINDY. The link's in the show notes as well. Let's get back to the episode. Very high demand and growing. I call it the largest blue ocean of opportunity in all of e-commerce that is rapidly expanding. That's the arena you're stepping into. All right, next, what previous experiences will you need? Are newbies succeeding with this model? Do I need some previous e-commerce or kind of tech background? No, nothing like that. Not at all. And as a matter of fact, I would say people who think they're good at e-commerce and think they're good at selling online tend to struggle more with the simplicity of the models that we teach than people who are coming in with a clean slate saying, okay, teach me from ground zero. Assume I know nothing. Teach me. It reminds me of the story that I've grown fond of sharing lately about the sergeant who walked into a room of new recruits who were under the impression they were there to learn how to drive diesel trucks. So this room full of 100 new Army recruits are sitting in their chairs waiting for the sergeant to step to the front of the room. And the first thing he says is, raise your hand if you have experience driving diesel trucks. And about half the room raised their hand. And he said, everyone with your hand up, you're dismissed. We don't need you. He said, now for the rest of you, we're going to teach you how to drive diesel trucks the Army way. Well, what's the point? You'd think experience would be beneficial, but not always. If you think you know what you're talking about, you think you know how it works, and you come in with those preconceived notions of how reselling on Amazon works, you're going to have some things you might need to unlearn because odds are you've overcomplicated it in your mind. And we see that all day, every day. So you're actually at a bit of an advantage if you don't have previous experience. But if you do have some previous experience in business and the basics of running a profitable operation, well, sure, that's going to be beneficial to you. But it certainly isn't necessary. We have coaching to handhold you through all of this, by the way. If you're interested in that, we'd love to talk to you about our coaching programs. There's information at silentjimdotcom if you want info on any of that. Happy to help you out. All right, next. So what is the cost to start and to scale this business model? Well, here's some good news. When I call it the lowest risk, lowest cost business model we're aware of, I'm not kidding. We've had people start with as little as $500 and never put another penny into this and scale to beautiful heights with their business. But typically we like to tell people having $1,000 or so set aside as a minimum is ideal. If you have more than that, it certainly opens up more doors of opportunity for you to scale, get individualized instruction and that sort of thing. But cost-wise, here's the basic bare minimum that you'll have to have. It's about $100 per month and then several $100s for your initial inventory. It'll take you 2, 3, maybe 4 months to get ramped up to where the machine's churning and you're starting to see money coming back to you. That's why we say $1,000 approximately. What is the $100 a month made up of for the bare bones basic minimum? Well, you're going to have an Amazon seller account. That's $39 a month. You're going to need some education and training. That's the Proven Amazon course found at provenamazoncourse.com. $39 a month there currently. That price will go up at some point. You want to lock in for life while you can at the $39 rate because it will go up. We've been saying that a while. We mean it. We're trying to give you plenty of warning. So lock in, grandfathered in at the old rate, $39 a month. So we're up to about 80 now if you round up. What's that last $20 per month that makes 100 total per month? Well, that last $20 is a tool called Keepa, 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 that gives you the insights you're going to need to make good inventory purchase decisions. It's not a tool we own, but it gives you the greatest opportunity for success in picking winners and avoiding losers when it comes to inventory selection on Amazon. So a lot of our training, our initial training especially, is built around teaching you how to use Keepa properly. That's your $100 a month. Then you're going to need, like I said, a few $100s for inventory. That's the bare basics of what it's going to cost. Now, let's say you've got $10,000, $15,000 or so set aside that you can jump in and you want to go full speed ahead and really take this seriously. Well, now I start suggesting that you get a coach because we can help you deploy that capital far more rapidly, help you scale far more rapidly. The best investment you will ever make is an investment in yourself, working with an experienced, trained, successful mentor. That's right. Every coach on our team is someone who is running the business model they're teaching you at scale successfully. So you've got a mentor in your pocket and you've got our whole team supporting you. That costs obviously a little bit more to buy their time, to have them help you, but you're going to go so much further, so much faster. It's the greatest investment you'll make if you're trying to scale as quickly as possible and build a real business as fast as possible. So what's it going to cost? Everything from the price of getting a coach, which we'd love to talk to you about. There's a link at silentjim.com. You can text or call us anytime. You can get on our schedule, have a Zoom, ask all your questions. We'll tell you all about it. And if all you need is some free or low-cost resources, if that's all that makes sense for you right now, we'll be happy to tell you about those as well. That's what we do. We've got 2 or 3 people at any given time in the office helping with our clients who we do some consulting work for, as well as answering the phones and answering those questions. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you if you have any questions about any of that. So that's the cost. So here's one of the other more common questions, a slight shift of pace here, but people often ask, okay, I'm going to be selling physical product. Does that mean I've got to touch product, that I have to go to stores, or I have to put stuff in boxes, or I have to fill my garage with product? Do I have to do all that? The answer is no, you don't have to do anything. Like I mentioned earlier, we have international students who live in all kinds of places where Amazon doesn't even exist. Amazon.com isn't there, but they sell products successfully in the US all day, every day. In some cases, multiple seven-figure businesses without ever seeing or touching their inventory. So you don't have to do any of that stuff. Now, if you happen to live in the United States, you have the option of sourcing from local retail stores. You have the option of having products sent to your front porch. So you do the prep yourself. And we typically like to encourage our students to start there so they're familiar with the process. But you can certainly automate the entire machine. There are hundreds of warehouses across the United States that will gladly receive your inventory for you, prep it, meaning slap your labels on it so Amazon knows it's yours, and ship it to Amazon for you. You don't have to do that part if you don't want to. You certainly can. Now, those warehouses that manage your inventory, the middleman warehouses, we call them prep centers. We can give you a full list of them. You can find one, and you could start off that way from day one if you choose to. But we really like to see you get your hands dirty initially, do those first several shipments yourself, learn the business, scale it, understand what it means to prep the inventory, the work that's involved. And then if you choose, hire someone else, find someone else. Maybe it's a local neighborhood kid that comes to your garage and does the work. Or maybe it's a prep center that you have your products delivered to. Instead of coming to your house, it goes to them. Either way, you can certainly scale this over time. You don't have to be the one doing the different pieces of the work. One of our favorite success stories in our community is podcast episode 754 with Kang, my friend, who wrote some software that I'll tell you about here in a moment that helps him run his $3 million replens business. He's a proven Amazon course student. He was a coaching student. He scaled it up, wrote some software to automate all of it. But the point is, he never touched his inventory. He had one warehouse worker, one virtual assistant that ran his entire business using the software that I'll tell you about in a few minutes. But he certainly wasn't touching box tape just because he had a business selling on Amazon. You can scale past that quite easily. We're happy to help you at the time when it's right, when you're ready to scale. That's what we do here, is we help businesses go from zero to launch to scale to automated to having an asset, an income producing asset that you don't have to be involved with if you don't want to. So yes, you don't have to be the one doing the prep. Someone needs to. It doesn't have to be you. And to be clear, what's prep? Again, it's receiving the inventory, inspecting it, making sure that there's no crushed boxes or broken items, packaging it up to Amazon standards with labels that indicate that it's your product, and sending it to Amazon's warehouse. From there, Amazon does the rest. When a customer places an order, they fulfill the order, they send it to the customer, they send you money. Amazon pays you as your products sell. That's the process, but you don't have to be the one touching product if you don't want to. That's a common question. All right. So the next question is, what about all those other models that I've heard about? And I addressed this briefly earlier on. There are dozens and dozens of models. But here's the good news. Once you understand this basic replens model, once you have momentum there, there's so many other great streams of income that are available to you. We teach many of them. I'll just give you one example. I'm not going to dump on you here, but as you start to sell, there's going to be certain brands that you're selling more of. You may even develop a relationship with that brand. Maybe you start going direct to that brand. And maybe one day you propose to that brand something along these lines and you say, hey, I've been selling a lot of your stuff on Amazon. I think you guys could use some help. Your listings don't look that great. I think we could sell more of your stuff. How about you put me in charge of your account? And then they pay you a percentage of all sales for helping them manage their account. Why would they do that? Well, you're the Amazon expert. They're good at making their widgets, not good at managing an Amazon account. You are, because you've had experience doing that. We see these kinds of things happen all the time. So we actually have a name for that model. We call it the PPP model, proven product partnering. You got a product that's proven and selling well. Hey, how about you partner up with that product, help them do even better? There's a whole business model inside the Proven Amazon course that teaches you how to do just that. And we have some people that do only that. They start off selling on Amazon and then they transition into helping other brands manage their Amazon account. Beautiful, right? So you can see where opportunity leads to opportunity. The skill set you're developing opens up more doors. So there's a bunch of other models, but you can't start as a brand expert helping other brands get on Amazon. If you've never sold there yourself before, you lack the credibility, the confidence, the insights required to serve those clients well. Agreed? So we start you off with the basics. You can stay right there. You can scale and build a beautiful business right there with the basics, or start to go down some of these other doors of opportunity, creating multiple income streams for yourself. All right, so we're closing in on the end of the list. Only got a couple more left of the popular questions we get asked. What help is available? I like this question. What help is available? Well, let me tell you about all the free help that we've got for you if you're interested in this business model. First, this podcast that you're listening to right now, if you just scroll back in time, you're going to hear story after story from the leaders on our team, the success stories from our students, tips, insights, strategies. We've had plenty of people succeed selling on Amazon just by listening to this free podcast, soaking up the information, pursuing the resources that we discuss, and figuring it out as they go. Now, I will tell you, it's going to take you a lot more time to do it that way, a whole lot more time to do it that way, but it's free, as is our Facebook group. There's a link at silentjimdotcom to our Facebook group. If you jump in there, you're going to see about 83,000 people who are discussing and encouraging each other, helping each other out. That's a free resource as well. If you're ready to pay a few dollars, hey, $39 a month. That's all you need to get started with our training. I mentioned the other costs earlier. It's a very inexpensive business to start, which is my last question that I had on the list. How do I start? Well, I've told you a lot about that already, but let me give you one last little tip. If you want to hop on the phone and map out a strategy from where you are now to where you'd like to be in e-commerce using the strategies that we teach here, we'd love to offer you a free phone call. No pressure. Just say, hey, here's our resources. Here's what's available. What makes the most sense for you, for the time you have, the budget you have, your background. Let's map out a plan. We'd love to do that with you. So give our office a call anytime. Go to silentjim.com, click on the coaching tab. You'll see all the details you need right there for contacting us. They'll also be in the show notes as well. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today. I went in rapid succession through the top 10 most common asked questions in our community, especially from the newer sellers. I hope you benefited greatly. Thanks for spending some time with us. Continue listening to this podcast. If you found some value in it today, would you please do us the favor of leaving us a review or a follow or sharing that link? We have a $0 marketing budget for this show, so we really appreciate when you do those kinds of things for us. Hey, I'll see you in the Facebook group. Hop on over there and ask your questions if you have any. Again, there's a link to our Facebook group at silentjim.com. There's 83,000 of us approximately in there all day, every day, helping each other out, encouraging, answering questions. We'd love to add you as our latest member. Talk to you soon. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. Before I let you go, a quick reminder, you want to go to silentjim.com/askcindy to talk to someone about your accounting, bookkeeping, tax planning needs. They're very unique as an e-commerce business owner, and odds are you're having trouble finding someone local who gets it. You're probably paying more in taxes than you should be. Have a conversation with Cindy and her team. Tell them we sent you. Go to silentjim.com/askcindy to get all the details. Thanks for listening. We'll have more great episodes for you very soon.